All right, I'm welcome back for the episode of This Week in Charts via Carnival Trades and Wall Street for Main Street. If you've not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivaltrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it this week. So markets here having a decent week. So we can see here the SPX really just kind of sideways in the beginning of the week. Obviously, had a holiday shortened week last week, and this week really kind of slow to start. We did get a little bit of a reversal on Wednesday, so we had some volatility coming to the market, but nothing really major. And we weren't really able to get too far away from this 45.50 handle. We've actually been in that range really since the 20th, essentially, of November, where we had that big pop last Monday. And we kind of just been sideways in that range. And now we're getting another bid. We did have Powell speaking today, and he said two things. Essentially, one was that he expected to take a further restrictive stance, if inflation came back, right? He did say, to counter that as well, that essentially the way the market is interpreting it, the way that, from what I can see here, is that he basically said that's probably not going to happen. Essentially, from, again, his words were, we're closer to a more balanced, level of restrictiveness. So again, the market took that. You can actually see on the intraday here, just took that and ran with it. But in any case, right now, for the technical picture, you can see we are above this trend line here. We talked about that over the last week or so, and we are above that, and we're going to close the week above that as well. The next kind of levels here are obviously the double top, which we didn't quite get to today, but 46.07 right there on the SPX, and then right above that, this is going to be a major level at 46.37. So this is a huge, huge, huge resistance zone for the bears to hold. So, and it's not that far away, right? We could easily get there, early next week, but this is a very, very important zone here that we're coming into on the SPX. But all in all, again, market's holding up here. And interestingly enough, if we take a look at the triple Qs, so that is kind of just flat here, right? So we did break above that double top a few weeks ago, and we haven't gone anywhere. We actually had that outside move on Wednesday. So this past Wednesday, we had a little outside move, but we closed back inside of this range. You see this green bar. We've just been inside of that for the last really week and a half, actually 2 weeks, essentially. And we are, going to close again. We're going to close the week above, again, that pivot there. So that is a positive. But interestingly enough, though, the NASDAQ has kind of become the laggard, and what has become the leader over the last couple of days is the Dow. So take a look at the diamond here. This is now getting parabolic here on the daily. So just be aware of that. It's definitely overbought here, up another 0.75% today. That's a big move for the Dow, like a really big move. The Dow doesn't move like that in one day. A lot of this is coming from Salesforce, which had earnings this week, and obviously a favorable reaction. I think it was up 8% yesterday, up another 3 1/3 today. Also, United Health is getting a big bid here. It is down a little bit today, but had a huge outside bid yesterday. And these are two big Dow components, and therefore that is helping out the DIA there. So again, Dow here through that level. We talked about this last week. We pulled back for about 2 days, and then Thursday, Friday, just big pop. Next real level here, I'm just going to say 365, and then your double top there on the DIA. So we're not far off of all-time highs here for the diamond. So the Dow now all of a sudden has kind of become the leader. And over the last week, the Russell 2000 has shown some leadership here as well. We talked about this pattern last week. I said if it can consolidate more, it can go higher. And that's exactly what happened today. Nice little, kind of coiled spring there. And you're seeing some small caps catch on, right? Everybody wants to go to, like I just said here, the Qs, right? So we're seeing a little bit of kind of rotation out. Take a look at Microsoft today. That is red. NVIDIA flat to lower over the last couple. Actually, took a pretty good hit yesterday. Meta, Google, flattish. Flat to lower again. So big tech kind of coming in, and you're seeing that rotation. Everybody wants to get the next, the next trade here. I mean, look at GME this week. That had a huge pop the other day. Look at names like Upstart up 20% today. This is just being given a 20% here. So you're just seeing squeezes here, and you're seeing, kind of that chase for that next sector here. But in any case, you see that Russell 2000 up 2.5% on the day, and next level here, you got a little bit of a pivot there around 186, but you can make a case that this pattern here, let's get rid of this trend line. We don't really need that anymore. If it comes back into play, we'll talk about it. But you can make a case you've got, a little inverse head and shoulder there, and that target would take you right to about 190. Well, so let me do that again. There we go. So 189. So right in that vicinity there. So that would indicate a little bit more upside there for the IWM, obviously. And we are back above this breakdown level. So again, we're seeing that rotation kind of come in. This market is still overbought. Yes, we had a nice little consolidation here, but I know everybody's talking about the Santa rally. And, I think this is the Santa rally. So at some point here, does that level around 462 SPY, 4637 SPX, does that kind of become the cap here going into the end of the year? Maybe we just kind of get up there and then grind sideways or pull back. But right now, it's a powerful move. And closing the week above that trend line is definitely a sign of strength here for the bulls moving forward. In any case, let's take a look at the semiconductors via the SMH. So again, up 0.5% or so on the day. We did slice through that gap there, and we're able to close back above it. So if we do lose that, I think there's some serious downside here. Shouldn't say serious, but there could be tradable downside, at least to the gap fill, and then possibly down to 153 there on the SMH. For those of you who follow the stocks, again, there's a gap fill at right around 3,600, and then I think 35 would be kind of your next big level down there if we were to come back in. If this trades up, it's obviously the next big level is going to be your double top there on the SOX. IGV holding up really well. So again, we talked about that 382 level. We did hit that. We pulled back for a few days. Again, we had earnings out of Snowflake, CRM, I believe Workday, and CrowdStrike. All these names had really good bids this week, and those are all cloud components. And take a look at the IGV up another 1 1/3 today. So next level, I think I told you guys 395 to 400. Let's just say 400 right now. Okay, so there's your breakdown bar on a weekly. The high is 398.96. So we'll just pop that right in there. So 398, let's just call it 399. How about that? There we go. 399 to 400. There's a little pivot right there if it overshoots a little bit. But again, nice little coil there, and then a big pop for IGV. Again, coming into resistance. It is overbought like a lot of things, but this is a powerful trend. And I told you guys when that CPI print came out a few weeks ago, this is the type of move that can create FOMO, and I think we're definitely seeing that here going into the end of the year. Dow Transports, again, this is kind of the next sector. We talked about this pattern. I said I want to see more consolidation, and it is pushing through next level, 15.6. Again, if you're wondering what that's from, that was that previous power bar, failed, tagged it, we broke through, hit it here, and then we broke down. So that's going to be the level next. If we can get through that, I could see us inching up to about 16. Well, let's just say 15.8. Okay, so 15.8 would be kind of your level there on overshoot for the DJT. But again, nice pop there for the transports, up 2.8%. And again, we'll look for around 15.6 as being the next level. All right, so interest rates really one of the stories here this week. We did hit to the 4.6 level. We got a one-day bounce and then right through it. So again, you can see the level doing its job and unable to follow through. So again, Powell kind of sending that market. I don't really know if it's Powell sending the market lower or if it's just the market interpreting his words a certain way. Honestly, I think the market made up its mind, and Powell's kind of an excuse for us to come down here anyway. But in any case, you can see the 2-year through that 4.6 area. Next big level, you have a little bit of a pivot there around 4.5, also kind of a whole round number. So that will might be a psychological level to get through, but the next big level is right around 4.25. There's a lot of support in that area if we were to get down there. But yields coming in, and the 2-year definitely backing off, and investors are sniffing out rate cuts. That's essentially kind of the whole premise for what's going on here. We could talk forever about the macro of that. I don't know if we have time to do it here today, but in any case, right now, I'll just say this. Cyclically, the trade is disinflation. I don't think that's going to change the secular trend, though. I did make a poll earlier today on Twitter. I'll just say this about it. So right here. So if the Fed is forced to cut rates in the spring disinflation, forget the typo there, but what do you think the response from the federal government would be? Keep in mind, it will be an election year. So just something to consider there. I still think the secular trend is inflationary. That's all I'm really saying with that. Anyways, let's get back over here to the yields. So 5-year pulling into the 200 MA, could get a bounce there again. 4.05. There's also a pivot right there, and then of course 4%. So not too far away here from some support levels there on the 5-year. Is a little overdone to the downside, but again, yields coming in and markets like that. 10-year into a support zone as well. There's lots of pivots down here, multiple levels, 410 and then 4% even, probably where it wants to go. Honestly, we got a nice one day bounce off that level, and now we're coming back in. But there's definitely some areas down here that are interesting for a bounce. 30-year 4.2, 200 MA pivot. I have no guarantee that we even break through this level without at least bouncing next week either. But yields definitely coming in, and again, like I said, that market likes that for right now. All right, anyways, let's flip over here to XHB. So again, new highs here for XHB, new 52-week highs. Not an all-time high, but it is close. Double top is 86.61. I think we can get there. It's not that far away. It's only $1.20, $1.40 away on the XHB. So home builders, nice pattern there, consolidation and a continuation higher. VNQ again got through the 82 level. Again, this was kind of my near-term like max move, and we pulled back for 2 days, and now we're pushing up. So I haven't really had time to do a whole lot with this. I would just say 84.50 here in the near term, and then you're going to have a lot of chop here around 85 as well. So that would be the level here, but VNQ definitely repairing the trend here. Trend is back up on the daily time frame, and definitely shaping up much better than before. All right, banks, XLF continuing to push higher. So getting a squeeze here, coming into a level here. So let's take a look right there, 36.24. That's a pivot, and we're right into that. So XLF had a great recovery here. Banks have really been leading the last couple of days. Again, another sector, just to go back to the QQQ comparison there, Q is essentially flat the last week or so. But one sector that has done really well and has carried the market is banks. XLF, take a look at KRE here, up 4.5. Told you guys I can get up into the 48 handle, and it likely will. It's not that far away here. So again, banks seeing some short covering. KBE, same thing. That's going to come into some resistance here, but it's had a nice run. I wouldn't step in front of it right now while this market is in this mode. But in any case, banks definitely shaping up much better of late. Broker dealers through the 500 handle. Again, there's a little resistance here, but ultimately I think this wants to go to 522. So that's the level I've got penciled in for it, and I think it can get up there. All right, on to commodities, because this was the rock star of the week. Well, not so much crude, but gold, of course, I'm sure you're all anxiously waiting, which we'll get to in due time here. But in any case, crude here down 2.25. So we had the OPEC meeting. Market was not too impressed with it. I still think crude's got to come down into this low upper 60s area. So right down in this zone here, that's where price reversed after this kind of sell-off. And essentially on the weekly, you're going to see, we had a bear flag, and that ended up failing. So that's usually where buyers are going to be sitting. So we'll see how that comes down. We had a pretty good high volume rejection yesterday, and I do think it wants to get down there. We'll examine crude if and when that happens. But again, yields down, investors are pushing crude lower. XLE here, so that's managing to scratch out a little bit of a gain. I am not touching this. I do not like the pattern. I think there will be a better chance to get in this sooner and possibly cheaper as well, but it is green on Friday. And again, it's hanging in there okay. Everything's green pretty much for the most part today anyway. XLE up XOP up just under 1% today. And again, I still like that lower. Same thing with OIH, but again, pattern-wise, this is still a lot better here. But energy stocks, just avoiding them right now. I think we'll get better setups on these in the future. All right, one sector that is really still on fire, CCJ, made a new 52-week high today, new multi-year high, rather, 46.76. It is red on the day, but I mean, come on, it's fine. Trend is up. It got to 45. We talked about that, and that's where it's kind of stalling out here. There's a ton of FOMO in this right now, and I mean a ton. And forced buying, right? There's fund managers that are trying to meet their benchmarks by the end of the year, and so they're jumping on the hot trade right now, and that's what's pushing this higher. if this gets through 45, the best thing I can do is just say $50. That's really all I can give you right now on CCJ. I thought it was overbought, a few months ago, and it still is, but it can go higher. So just be aware of that. I don't have a particular sell signal on it just yet. Again, if you own it, trailer stop. If you don't own it, don't chase it. Same thing with URNM. That one's continuing to hold up well, but a little bit of a red week. Nothing terrible though. Maybe a little bit of distribution volume coming in. So again, it's getting a little top heavy, but again, I still think this can get to 52 and change, and possibly eventually higher after that. Nat gas here coming back in again this week, although really just kind of a flat week there, so nothing really doing. I'm not really sure what this wants to do here in the near term. I did hear there's supposed to be a massive draw next week. I'm not sure if that's going to be, I think it's going to be like plus 100 year over year, or I should say minus 100 year over year. I think last year around this time was minus 30. It should be like minus 120 or somewhere in that range. Either way, though, really kind of a flat week and nothing doing here for Natty. All right, dollar index here. So again, that is lower as you would imagine with yields coming down. Although, granted, the dollars, for how much the market's up today and for how much bonds are bidding right now, the dollar is actually hanging in there just okay. And you're going to see, I talked about this 618 and the 102.50 area. Whoops. There we go. Right there. So we just tagged that and we got a bounce for 2 days. And again, just stalling out at the 200 MA. But again, looking at the SPX, right, it's surging today. Looking at bonds, just look at the 2 year. It's getting smoked today. And the dollar is actually hanging in there, just an inside day. So I think the dollar actually is showing a little bit of relative strength here. Does that mean anything going into next week? It could be. Yeah, maybe the dollar is ready to get a counter trend pop here. But bottom line, 102.50 held. That was the 618. That was that bull flag breakout right there. And it's getting a bid. If you get above the 200, next level is 104.40 and then 105. If it heads lower, this is where it's going. So right to that trend line. So that's what I'm watching on the dollar here over the next week or so, and obviously into end of year. Additionally, so I know everybody's been waiting. Here we go. So gold. So dollar, again, dollar only down a little bit with gold ripping higher. So gold up 1.6. Yesterday, we did something that has never been done before, and that is a monthly close above 2,000. We're also above this trend line here on a weekly close. And we made a new all-time high a little bit ago. You see the GLD there. So new all-time highs. I believe gold is likely on breakout. I say likely because I've seen this, you guys know this as well as I do. We've seen this happen before, where it makes new all-time highs, then comes back in. Or the market is sniffing out pivot. I can't rule out pullbacks. I can't rule out consolidation. And it's tricky because it's like everybody's anticipating the all-time high and anticipating the breakout. So, is there going to be a rug pull, like last time, and then do we head back up? Well, that remains to be seen, but I can say you're getting a weekly new all-time high close, and that is significant. You're getting a close above 2,000 on the monthly for the first time ever. That's also significant. So gold acting very well. I do like GDX. I think this can be bought on pullbacks as well. I think this gets up to 34 before it runs into major resistance here. So GDX acting well. SILJ, I think this can be bought on dips as well. Same thing with SIL and all those other, mining ETFs there. If we take a look at silver, again, above 25, we talked about this trend line. It is above that. I think silver can be bought on pullbacks or consolidations. I think silver is going to 35, just so you guys know. Longer term, I'm not chasing it right now, but that's kind of like how this pattern is set up here on the monthly. So just so you guys are aware, I mean, it'll have to get through 30 and all that stuff first, and there's nothing to say it can't pull back here and do something like that, but that's kind of where I'm looking for it to go longer term. But yeah, big week for the PMs. Platinum, I really like this setup here on platinum. This can be bought on pullbacks. The lows are in on that as well. So I'm really hoping this will give us a dip here because I'd like to get into it myself. And then palladium here, still the weakest of the four. Possible higher low there. I do like this long-term zone though, as you guys know. I would have preferred a stronger monthly close. It's not terrible, but it could be better. Now, if you have like a multi-year horizon, then you're fine to accumulate down here. But in the near term, I don't think the risk reward is that great, at least not right now. Copper here, this is really firmed up. So that's up. So you guys know I've been kind of like bearish copper. Not to say that I'm ever advocated shorting it, but I've had a downside bias, right? And this is really firmed up. So up another 1 3/4 today. And you can see we're above this trend line now. You're into that 100-week moving average. You may need to stall out here. There's going to be a lot of resistance at 4. Okay, so just be aware of that. And I still think this can go down into this lower area here, 330, 340 at some point. But in the near term, you got to call a spade, and it is pushing above that trend line. So I would say let this get to $4, and then we'll evaluate it from there. I talked about this red bar. I said last week, if we close above that, that's a sign of strength, and look at what we're doing this week. So that's generally how those things work here, but nice pop for copper. Can't really say anything bad about it in the near term. Look at the COPX here, up 4 1/4. That's probably going to want to get up into the 37 handle. So nice pop there for copper, and obviously big move for the metals this week. Lastly, Bitcoin here, still holding up here. No real problems. It is pushing above this little rising wedge trend line, so we'll see if this tries to break bulls. Again, we're going to go into the weekend here pretty shortly. I think Bitcoin looks okay. I think it can still get to 40,000, maybe a little bit higher. You know how the cryptos always overshoot. I like the pattern, though, a lot better on ETH. I like the upright pattern and the right angle rather than the rising wedge. And for cryptos, as far as that's concerned, I like that and Solana here. So I think ETH and Solana, at least just from pattern-wise, look better than some of these other ones, and even Bitcoin. So those are, if I had to pick two, that's what I would look at here. But Bitcoin holding up, and we'll see if this wedge plays out. Sometimes you get a peak above that top trend line, then it'll come back down. But if this breaks bear, it can break bear pretty quickly. So just be aware of that. I'd rather see, again, like I said, if I had to pick pattern, I would say ETH or Solana. But yeah, Bitcoin holding up, and I can't really say anything bad about it. All right. Yeah, again, lastly, so impressive week here for the spiders. We'll see what kind of price action we get next week. Again, 46.07 and 46.37 are the big levels that we're going into. Again, markets are overbought, but they're on a sugar high right now. So you need to respect it until we get a major sell signal. What would a sell signal be? A reversal on high volume, or a big outside move down. It's really that simple. But right now, markets are acting well, and Santa Claus is in town so far. We'll see if he remains here for the remainder of a month, or if we have to stall out on this rally. Anyways, guys, gonna wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. We'll talk to you guys all next week.